both sides. The stakes really extremely high. A run to the cup final, perhaps worth up to £500,000 to the successful side. And it's Celtic who start the match. Paul McStay feeding it wide to Mother McLeod. And there already we can see the problems which will be created by the playing surface. And Joe Miller evaded the tackle of Derek White, but White's in trouble with referee Smith. He did appear to go across the Aberdeen striker. And referee George Smith taking a very firm grip in proceedings. But that whole incident caused by the slip by Anton Rogan, who lost his footing completely. So that's a treacherous surface, quite clearly for the players, as Jim Bett takes the free kick. And a great save from Pat Bonner. Davy Dodds closing in. Well, what an opening for Aberdeen. And what a debt Celtic owe to their goalkeeper, Pat Bonner. Flighted in by Jim Bett. There's the powerful header. Davy Dodds, it's broken back from Pat Bonner, and Joe Miller couldn't direct it on target.
Yeah, two things have emerged, obviously, Joe. Already we saw how treacherous the ground was, but we saw Pat Bonner in the first minute of the game keep his side very, very much in contention with a magnificent save, which is always good for a side.
So that certainly is a great confidence boost to Pat Bonner. Very important for a goalkeeper to get a good early touch, and he couldn't have had a better one than that. Roy Aitken sending it back. And Celtic, in fact, have started the match with Brian McClair pushed right up alongside Mo Johnston and Alan McInally in attack. So they have started the match in a 4-3-3 formation. Johnston got a touch. There's McClair going forward. Willie Miller's clearance. Now with Bett. Striding forward away from McStay. There's Grant. Now Joe Miller. Bett once again. He has Stuart McKimmie on the right touchline. Here's Miller. That's collected by Paul McStay. He's in trouble now at the edge of the box. And Roy Aitken sorts it out for Celtic. But again, it's clear that no defender can take any chances at all on the surface. Eric McLeish pushing forward. There's Grant's pass, cut off by the experienced figure of Danny McGrain. Well, I've only two men in the field who have seen their 30th birthday. Danny McGrain is one, and the other is the Aberdeen skipper, Willie Miller. Robertson's header. Here's McStay. Robertson getting there ahead of Peter Grant. Grant operating on the right side of the Celtic midfield. McStay in the middle, McLeod on the left. And McClair has tried to get the corner kick. The linesman thought it was, but referee George Smith thought otherwise, and the goal kick has been given to Aberdeen. So Jim Leighton's first involvement in the match. Corner out jumped by Grant. That's an Aberdeen throw. David Robertson capable of a very long throw. Headed down by Aitken. Grant was looking for McGrain, who had stayed back. So again, Aberdeen coming forward on their left, the far side. Robertson once again. Head flicked by Dodds. Here's Grant. Chance for Joe Miller. Couldn't keep his footing long enough, and it breaks kindly for Pat Bonner in the end. But once again, a clear example of how difficult it is for defenders inside their own box.
One thing has emerged, Joe. Aberdeen's front players look confident on the surface at the moment, and they're causing all sorts of difficulties for the Celtic back four.
There's one of the key men up front, Joe Miller, leaving the throw to Grant. Miller playing it back to McKimmie. Swept away by White. There's Johnston. That's a fine layoff. Bouncing awkwardly away from McClair. Stayed it well. So did Grant. This is good play from Celtic. Good running also from Johnston going to the right. Forward across by Willie Miller. Johnston has scored twice in his last 3 visits to Pittodrie. The header from McStay. Well taken by Leighton, whose positioning made that look easy, but it was good play from Celtic and a fine header in the end from Paul McStay. Here's Paul Wright. Grant firmly tackled in midfield by Paul McStay. So the Aberdeen lineup has McKimmie at right back, McLeish and Miller, of course, in central defence, with David Robertson at left back. It's Grant on the right side of midfield, Jim Bett right in the middle, and Robert Connor on the left for Aberdeen. And up front, Joe Miller, Paul Wright and Davy Dodds. There's Danny McGrain's clearance. Robertson letting that run. Celtic with their lineup as McGrain, Aiken, White and Rogan across the back. Grant, McStay and McLeod in the middle. And McClare, Johnston and McInally up front. McGrain sending it through the middle. Controlled well by Johnston. Well, that was well worth the effort from Mo Johnston. Controlled the awkward ball very well indeed, and showing again his eye for goal, hoping to catch out the Aberdeen keeper Jim Leighton. There's the volley, bouncing awkwardly wide of the target, but Jim Leighton was happy to see that go by. Rogan lofting it forward, bouncing away from Alan McInally. McKimmie looking for Davy Dodds. Tangling there with Roy Aiken, who's penalised, I think, for doing a bit of wrestling as they went for the high ball. So free kick to Aberdeen. Paul Wright making space around the box. There he goes onto the free kick from Bett. And linesman and referee in accord this time. It's a goal kick to Celtic. There's young Anton Rogan from Distillery settling into the Celtic defence at left back. Something of a problem position for much of the season, but the young Irishman may well have solved that problem for David Hay. Headed on by McInally. McKimmie completes the clearance. There's Davy Dodds. Now Bett. Paul Wright is there first. Well, it's treacherous also for forwards. Very White bringing the ball clear. That's a good pass inside to McClare. He has McLeod free on the left. This is promising for Celtic. Here's McLeod. And the offside flag is up on the far side. I wonder if that was Warren McLeod or perhaps one of the strikers, Brian McClare or Mo Johnston.
I think Maurice Johnson just strayed into an offside position there, Joe, but a good and interesting move from Celtic. And it shows the power of Murdo McLeod because he loves bursting into those open spaces, and he's got an knack for scoring as well. But a good move from Celtic. They seem to have settled a bit better.
Yes, they've certainly taken heart from that marvellous early save from Pat Bonner. For these nervous opening stages, crucial of course for both sides. Here's David Robertson. That's too far ahead of David Dodds. It goes behind for the goal kick. Well, David Dodds has shrugged off the injury which curtailed his training activities through the week. But a very important target man up front for Aberdeen. McLeish's header. Here's Roy Aiken. Headed away by McLeish. McKimmie under pressure from Brian McClare. McLeish to McKimmie. Sending it forward. Tempted, I think, to give it to William Miller at one point, but he was inside his own box. Wright plays it forward. Here's Joe Miller. Connor racing into the box. Danny McGrain had come inside. That's a careless one though. Wright plays it wide for Dodds, and he is offside. Well, I think we can take it David Dodds doesn't agree, but that will make no difference at all to referee George Smith or the linesman. Temptation, Billy, must be, I suppose, for defences to send long balls forward and play it safe.
Well, it's not a day for taking chances, Jock, is it? Because one little slip's going to cause all sorts of problems. I think, obviously, what you've got to try to get the ball into the front players and for them to keep possession.
Here's Johnston doing just that for Celtic. Fuller thumping it forward, but Paul Wright had come deep. So two teenagers joining David Dodds in attack for Aberdeen, Paul Wright and Joe Miller, still only 19 years old. Grant plays it back to McKimmie. Rogan missed out. And Derek White judged that well. He took a knock as he played the ball away from Joe Miller. Well, this could be worrying for Celtic. Derek White has become a fixture in that defence, and they'll be very keen to keep him involved. It appeared to be an accidental clash after he played the ball away with Joe Miller. So some work for the Celtic physio Brian Scott. Referee Smith immediately allowing the trainer to come on in these hazardous conditions. So Derek White, there's the background information on the young defender. Amazing number of appearances for one so young. Another recruit from Celtic Boys Club who have served the Celtic club so well over the years. Peter Grant, Roy Aiken, Tony Shepherd and Paul McStay out of this afternoon's 13 players, all coming through the ranks. Here's Grant. Well, Peter Grant eventually got a touch, but you could see how he was slipping and sliding as the ball came towards him. Alec McLeish has gone into the box for Aberdeen for this long throw from David Robertson. But it's gone towards Paul Wright and Joe Miller. Johnston's head flick. Here's McStay. Now McClare. Aberdeen now getting players back in numbers, and the long ball forward catches Alan McInally fully 5 yards offside. So McInally trying extremely hard this season to get a permanent spot in the side up front. Certainly on form, can produce some electrifying runs. Aiken's header. McLeod beats Grant, and here's Paul McStay. Celtic hoping for a great deal from McStay in a creative sense in the middle of the field. And two Scotland men together. Jim Bett, number 8 for Aberdeen, directly opposed to number 8, Paul McStay for Celtic. International squad colleagues. Here's Danny McGrain. The back heeler from Grant runs straight to Robertson. Once again, Wright finding it difficult to keep his footing. Here's Brian McClare. Well read by Miller. Willie Miller stepping in, turning it away. Well, he's playing this afternoon, Willie Miller, but it'll be interesting to see how he lasts out the full match. He is a man who Aberdeen were anxious to have in the ranks for the match. There's the header! And it's Alan McInally! Celtic have taken the lead in the most dramatic fashion. 14th minute of the match. Alan McInally with that header bulleted in off the underside of the bar, and the Celtic beach end erupts. You see Leighton stumbling as the ball was in the air. He couldn't get his footing quickly enough, but in any event, I doubt if he'd have reached that header from Alan McInally.
No, there's no doubt about that, Jock. It was a very, very good header. He kept his feet, he kept his timing right, and he got a good header in, because it wasn't an easy ball to take.
So that classical header from Alan McInally gives Celtic the vital opening goal. So 14 minutes exactly, there's the scoreline. Celtic in front. by 1-0. And that really was a header which Alan McInally will remember with relish, I've no doubt at all. Grant thumping it forward. And Alec McLeish left alone to turn it back to Jim Leighton. Well, Jim Leighton certainly stumbled and went his full length on the goal line as the cross was in mid-air. But nevertheless, such was the power and accuracy of the header. I doubt if he'd have made any difference to it. Here's Brian Grant taking advantage of that slip from Paul McStay. So there's Murdo McLeod. 2 men offside, Mo Johnston and Alan McInally. As the ball came forward, the Aberdeen defence pushing forward. Alan McInally's 13th goal of the season, and he hasn't been in the side regularly, so that's a good scoring rate for his appearances. McLeish with a free kick. Roy Aitken's header, there's Jim Bett. Connor nodding it inside. A handball by Anton Rogan. Well, he's arguing it, struck him in the chest. It did appear to catch him in the upper part of that right arm, but perhaps a victim again of an awkward bounce. A bit unfortunate for the young defender. But an excellent opportunity now for Aberdeen. They don't have the prowess of Peter Weir available for these set pieces this afternoon. He's out through injury, but they have Jim Bett and Robert Connor. Bett flighting it in, there's McLeish. He did well to reach it, but he couldn't time it properly. So Alec McLeish very anxious to get Aberdeen back in level terms as early as possible. Doing well to find space as he came in, but didn't get above the header to knot it down. Grant and Connor together, now McStay and Bett. And it's Brian Grant who lofts it forward. Good ball from right to Connor. David Odds goes in. And the corner kick is given. Roy Aitken protests and he didn't get a touch. David Odds so good in that situation, making runs at the near post. So Aberdeen have the corner. Joe Miller takes the in-swinger to the near post area, and that's good goalkeeping again from Pat Bonner. So Bonner waves his colleagues away upfield and launches a long ball towards McInally. That's for Grant, a good position again for Celtic on the right. Brian McClare is there with Stuart McKimmie. And Willie Miller pumps it high in the air. And that came off the head of Paul Wright. Well, that really is fortune for Aberdeen. Clearly the angle wasn't the same for the referee or the linesman. That seemed to come off the head of Paul Wright, all right, but the throw goes to Aberdeen, and there's David Odds. Now Wright. Interception by McStay. Well, that's good play from McLeish. Very sure-footed for one so tall on the surface. Now Connor. Robertson breaks on the left. Now Bett. Looking for Wright, but it was cut off by Paul McStay. Paul Wright's looked very lively indeed up front for Aberdeen in the early stages. Cleared by White. McLeish now to Miller. Now Robertson. David Odds followed by Roy Aitken. Now Connor. Going inside McGrain. McLeod is there in defence for Celtic. Robertson takes it from Johnston. Here's Connor. Now Brian Grant, a shooting chance. Good effort from Grant. He saw the opportunity early, set it up for the shot, but couldn't keep it on target. So Brian Grant only had one thought in his mind when he received that ball inside, but no problems in the end for Pat Bonner.
That opening goal has settled Celtic quite a bit, Jock. They don't have to chase the game anymore. It's really up to Aberdeen to get themselves back into it. And to be fair, they're playing some nice football in the middle of the field without really getting any finishing touches up front.
Celtic coming forward again. Here's McInally. Well, certainly no complaints about the intention, I'm sure, among the Celtic players and management on that occasion. But the shot in the end, well wide of target, and the goal kick taken short this time by Leighton. Aberdeen, I fancy though, Billy, will be looking for a little bit more perhaps from Jim Bett and Robert Connor in midfield in particular.
Well, that's right, because obviously they've got to get control of the ball there, Joe. They've got to try and set up chances for these lads up front. The two young lads up front look very lively indeed for them, and with a good bit of service they could create problems for Celtic.
And a vicious one from Davy Dodds, cleared upfield towards Johnston. This is McInally. Gets support immediately from Murdo McLeod, and Danny McGrain appears on the right, calling for the ball. Grant waits for McStay to make the run. He's away from Robertson. But again, he found it impossible to set himself to send over the cross. Paul McStay. That's good control from Wright. McLeish popping up on the right. Good play from Aberdeen, and Paul Wright again making a good position for the pass. The cross comes in, there's Bobby Connor! No wonder Robert Connor holds his head. What an opportunity this was. Paul Wright's cross was deflected right into the path of Connor in point-blank range, and he almost missed the ball completely. Well, what a chance that was, and how Aberdeen may live to regret it.
Well, it was a real let-off for Celtic, Jock, because a very good move from the back, started from Alex McLeish. Good ball out to Paul Wright, lovely ball into middle, and what an open goal he missed there.
So still 1-0 to Celtic if you just joined us. 14th minute goal from Alan McInally. And here's Paul McStay breaking free again on the right for Celtic. Miller at full stretch. Mo Johnston is on the ground just inside the Aberdeen half. He took a knock in that last move. The referee waving play on. Johnston is still out of the game. It's with Joe Miller. Threading that in for McKimmie. And once again, the slanted ball didn't run kindly for Aberdeen. A shooting chance for McKimmie, which he couldn't quite take. And Mo Johnston is now about to get treatment. Right inside the Aberdeen half. So there's Johnston getting attention to that area around the right knee from Celtic physio Brian Scott. But there are signs, Billy, that Paul McStay is asserting himself a bit in midfield.
Well, Celtic have got it going for themselves now, Joe. The goal settled them, and when you've got a player as talented as Paul McStay, he gets a chance to use the ball, as he will do today. He'll use it well, and he'll keep Celtic provided with a whole lot of good passes. Interesting thing that both teams are really playing very similar and spreading the three front players, and at the moment those front players are getting a fair bit of the ball.
So Mo Johnston is back involved in the action. Mark McGee started to warm up for Celtic as Johnston was getting treatment. Back in his old stomping ground, of course. And now the throw on the far side will be taken by Peter Grant when he goes back far enough for the liking of referee Smith. Played forward by Robertson. Aiken wins it from Dodds. Willie Miller very calmly judging that to send it to his goalkeeper, Jim Leighton. With an anxious afternoon for defenders, there's no doubt about that. Headed out by Grant for Celtic. Robertson's throw, won by McGrain. He didn't catch it properly though. Here's Davy Dodds. And he gave Paul Wright no chance at all of reaching that pass. And Paul Wright has scored 4 times in the first team this season. Youth international. A recruit from the Aberdeen youth policy. Misjudged by both Grant and Connor. Here's McClare. McLeish going in firmly and to Paul McStay. The ball is carried over for the Celtic throw. So Grant again will have to come several yards back. Robertson to Dodds. Wally Miller using Jim Leighton again. I think in this afternoon's conditions, Jim Leighton will be anxious to get the ball inside the Celtic half. It's a long ball from the kick out. Well won by Rogan, a positive header forward. McInally hoping that Murdo McLeod was on his outside. Right to Grant. Murdo McLeod steps in for Celtic. Grant's header, there's Brian McClare. McGrain lofting it through the middle. McLeish winning that comfortably, but the header wasn't accurate enough. Nor was that clearance. Here's Murdo McLeod. Ryan Grant keeping his feet to win possession. So it's back now with McKimmie and Jim Leighton again taking the pass back. So the scoreline showing Celtic still with the advantage thanks to Alan McInally's header in the 14th minute of the match. The header through by Connor to Dodds. Good cover again from Rogan for Celtic. And this is Grant. Celtic getting plenty of men forward. One of them was Alan McInally. The back keeler didn't come off. So the singing now coming from the beach end. The Celtic fans certainly enjoying the match so far. We've watched one magnificent save from Pat Bonner and of course the opening goal from Alan McInally. Here's Alec McLeish though now coming forward for Aberdeen. Powerful play from McLeish. Here's Joe Miller. A deep cross, here comes Connor. Now Wright. Davy Dodds nodding it back towards Paul Wright. The clearance from Rogan. And McKimmie's header spins away from him. Here's Johnston. He appears to have recovered fully from that knock he took on the right knee earlier in the match. Good control again from Wright and a fine pass to Robertson in space on the left. It's towards Connor, but well, Danny McGrain's been in that situation many, many times. Now in his 20th year at Celtic Park. The referee, George Smith, being very fussy about the positions from which the throws must be taken. And the free kick is given against Davy Dodds for backing into Roy Aitken. And not any significant protest from Davy Dodds. He was clearly making a back for Roy Aitken. So some good refereeing by George Smith on that occasion. Defenders often very upset by the number of decisions given against them in these situations. Billy, you've been there often, I think.
Once or twice, Jock, yes. I think both sets of players have adapted quite nicely to condition. They're paying each other a lot of respect, Jock. They know it's difficult and they're not entering anything that's going to cause the referee a lot of problems.
They'll bounce the ball, carrying it through to McStay. That's a careless one. Brian Grant picks it up. And Derek White read that situation very early indeed. That was superb defending by the youngster. He across the bows of Joe Miller. Good pass from Wright. There's Grant angling the ball in. Roy Aitken did well. It was intended for Connor. Willie Miller's header. So we're on the half-hour mark now. Still Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1. And a fine match developing. A credit to both sides in view of the very tricky surface. And happily, no nastiness at all in evidence. Here's Paul Wright. Aiken took up good position to block the cross. Aberdeen have the throw. Aiken now organising his defence. And Wright stopped by White. But this time the young centre-half had to concede the corner kick. Here's Connor again with the in-swinger, the left-footed corner. Hooked away by McClear. McKimmie returns it. And referee George Smith overrules the linesman and gives offside. Well, he certainly took up position, the referee, to judge the offside position, but the linesman on the near side was waving play on as referee Smith gave the decision. Dangerous play by Bett, lifting his boot as McStay ducked with a header. Certainly no malice, I'm sure. And off the ball, an Aberdeen player is on the ground. Now what happened here? It looks like David Robertson who's on the ground, and Alec McLeish is having words with Alan McInally for Celtic. Ryan McClear pushing McInally away. Well, I certainly saw nothing amiss off the ball. Jim Leighton is now speaking to the referee. And Alan McInally is being sensibly restrained by Brian McClear. So referee Smith waving Jim Leighton back. Perhaps Leighton saw something no one else did. But now the linesman is coming across to have a word with the referee. The linesman is Bill Miller from Dundee. A shake of the head indicates, I think, that he saw nothing. Well, I certainly saw no incident there at all, Billy. Did you see anything untoward?
No, I didn't, Jock. Certainly he was on the ground before the free kick was taken because the Aberdeen players were trying to attract the referee's attention. But he was on the ground for some considerable time.
And here's trouble for Jim Leighton. Well, Jim Leighton was certainly walking a tightrope with the referee with his protests about the incident involving Robertson. And now he's obviously said just a little bit too much. So he is the first player in the match to be booked. Well, that's not at all common for goalkeepers to be booked, but Jim Leighton certainly was vociferous as he made his point to the referee, and the yellow card is his reward. Good header again by Rogan. Moving well onto the pass from Johnston. Here's Murdo McLeod. Rogan again, nudging the ball inside. Foul given against Jim Bett. Well, that did appear to be quite a soft decision. Rogan played the ball across into midfield. Jim Bett clearly looks aggrieved. So Celtic with a free kick. Paul McStay looking for Murdo McLeod. Well, how Celtic would have relished an accurate, powerful drive in customary Murdo McLeod fashion. A goal kick to Aberdeen. But Celtic certainly appear to be comfortable in the lead for the moment, Billy.
Yes, they certainly are, Jock. They've got everything going for them just at the moment. They know they don't have to take any particular chances, and they keep the ball moving forward, and they're creating problems for Aberdeen.
McKimmie. Well, the free kick is given against Rogan. I don't know how much you know about Anton Rogan, Billy, but he certainly looks very comfortable on the ball.
Yes, my opening impression of him is favourable, Jock. He's good in the air, he's timed the ball well in the air, and he's standing up well in difficult conditions.
Beaten that time by Joe Miller, though. Lots of good defenders have been deceived by the craft of Joe Miller. Well, that's good play from Robertson. Header cleared by McGrain. Grant plays it into space, but Willie Miller is first there for Aberdeen. And David Robertson goes his full length and he tries to turn quickly. McGrain and Connor together, and the decision is a free kick to Celtic. Connor was the man penalised. He obviously felt that McGrain was holding him off unfairly. The referee clearly adjudged that the ball was always within playing distance of Danny McGrain, and he was therefore entitled to screen it from his opponent. Still looks unruffled and calm in his customary position for Celtic. So McClare now with the throw for Celtic. Turned away by Willie Miller. Kept it in well for Wright. Too high for Connor. Well, Grant did well as he was losing his balance. And he was very strong in that challenge with Connor. Here's Paul McStay. Down he goes, and that is a penalty kick. David Robertson was the culprit. Paul McStay driving into the box. Let's check this once again. McLeish was chasing, but you'll see Robertson coming across. McStay nudging the ball forward and caught quite clearly there by the young fullback. Perhaps a glimpse of inexperience, but the penalty kick has been awarded to Celtic.
Yeah, there's no doubt about a penalty kick, Jock. It was a good driving run from Paul McStay, right into the heart of Aberdeen's defence, and really put the young lad in a position where he had no option but to pull him down. Definite penalty, no doubt about it at all.
Solid penalty kick, and to Aberdeen's credit, very little complaint from them. Some attention there for Paul McStay. He appears to have recovered, and the penalty kick will be taken by Ryan McClare. Now, his record is not impeccable. He's scored 3 out of 6 this season, and he's missed one already here at Pittodrie in the league back in November. He also scored one in that match. So Brian McClare against Jim Leighton. No doubt about that. Confidently placed in the corner, and Celtic go 2 ahead. So Brian McClare calmly converting the penalty kick, and that remarkably is his 27th goal of the season. What a valuable player he's been to Celtic this season.
Magnificent record. Took the penalty very, very well, Jock. Interesting to hear you say he'd missed one here before this season, but he took that one, kept his composure and put it away, and he's got a tremendous goal-scoring record, really has.
So 7 minutes left in the first half. Celtic go 2 ahead, and what an uphill struggle now faces Aberdeen. There's Mo Johnston back helping in defence. Clearance picked up by McKimmie. Here's Alec McLeish. The header by Wright. There's Danny McGrain. Robertson this time turning it out for the throw. Well, young David Robertson will clearly be feeling very upset indeed about that tackle, which gave Celtic the penalty kick. But he certainly, as Billy McNeill said, found himself in a very difficult situation with McStay committing the Aberdeen defence with that surging run. There's McLeod. Betts header. McInally wide for Rogan. Half blocked by Miller. Here's Brian McClare. McKimmie playing it forward. Roy Aitken going across, just nodding it safely into touch, away from Davy Dodds. Good early throw though, finding Wright. And Danny McGrain coming across behind the central defence to cover. Good experienced defending by the former Scotland hero. The throw to Aberdeen. Here's Joe Miller. Now McKimmie. Clearance finds Johnston. David Robertson touching it back to Leighton. So a 2-goal cushion for Celtic, and I wonder about the thoughts going through the head of Robert Connor following his dreadful miss a short time ago for Aberdeen. So instead of being on level terms, they're 2 behind. And Ian Porterfield, the Aberdeen manager, sensing now the possibility of a new experience as Aberdeen boss. He's never lost in 13 matches so far. Here's McClare. Oh, that's delightful play from McClare. The cross though falls straight to Worry Miller. McGrain's header, and McClare was well offside. The linesman signalling for the offside decision. The referee raised play on. And that ball driven across towards McInally. The Aberdeen players incensed about the fact that an offside decision wasn't given, and clearly the referee decided that Brian McClare was recovering from that earlier move and was not seeking to gain an advantage.
Well, there's the old adage as well, Jock, is that you play to the whistle. You're a professional player, you play to the whistle. You don't anticipate decisions going your way.
So David Odd's penalised again as he challenges for a high ball, and that little show of dissent results in a word from referee Smith. So Dodds gets a word of warning. Aiken's free kick. Vicious header. Back now to Rogan. The ball had just edged over the line, and Rogan will be in trouble for the reaction to the challenge from Joe Miller. It's a throw which has been given, but the referee will have a word with these 2 young players. Just getting a shade heated as they challenged on the touchline. So there's McKimmie now with the throw. Joe Miller. Roddy McLeod sends it forward, but it's out for the throw. 3 minutes of the first half left. Celtic leading by 2-0. And how Aberdeen would welcome a goal before the interval to set them up for a fight in the second half. Here's Brian Grant. David Robertson again taking up good position on the left. But Celtic have possession again. Grant loses it to right. That was intended for Connor. Trying to find some space away from Grant. And the free kick's been given against Peter Grant for obstruction, as Connor played it through the young Celtic midfield player's legs. The referee right on the spot gives Aberdeen a free kick in a very promising position. Taken by Connor. Up goes McLeish. And once again it's Pat Bonner to the rescue of Celtic. Alec McLeish just cannot believe it. Now look at this again. The out-swinging cross. Powerful header, beaten out by Bonner. Now that was a miraculous save.
Magnificent save, Jock. He's done very well. One at the start of the half, one now at the end of it. Very, very important saves.
Still trouble for Celtic. Cleared off the line by McStay. Paul Wright it was with a shot on target. Aberdeen now making a big push before the half-time whistle to get a goal back. So 90 seconds left on the clock in the first half, plus any time added on for stoppages. There have been a couple for injuries. And that's a Celtic throw. Despite the protest of Stuart McKimmie. Will have to be taken a bit further back than that though, I think. Here's Grant. Played forward by McLeod to McClare. Here's Robertson. So the long ball forward from Leighton. Headed out by White. There's Paul McStay. Well, almost half-time. 2-goal lead for Celtic. Billy, what are your reflections on that first half so far?
Well, I think, you know, obviously we're fortunate, I felt, just a little bit to be in front. But since he went in front, Joe, I feel Aberdeen's composure has been interrupted quite dramatically, and Celtic have settled comfortably into the lead.
So Rogan using his pace to go back and turn that out for the throw. All right, stopped by Derek White. McLeish playing it wide. Headed away by Grant. The rare tussle, these two, Grant and Connor on the far side of the field. Here's Jim Bett. Well, that was down to the ground conditions, I'm sure. Danny McGrain is penalised, but certainly an unfortunate foul. No doubt at all that his footing was dubious as he went into that challenge. But time fast running out for Aberdeen in the first half. Here's McLeish back in the box as Connor sends it across. Up goes McLeish again, touching it down. Aberdeen trying to control the ball. It was bouncing awkwardly off the very hard surface. McKimmie took a face knock from McClear. McKimmie's in a lot of trouble on the ground, on the halfway line. Well, an accident again, I'm sure, but as McKimmie cleared the ball, he took a face knock from McClear. And referee George Smith sensibly halting play to allow treatment for the Aberdeen fullback. Davy Wiley, the Aberdeen physio, is on. So there's Stuart McKimmie's credentials. £90,000 he cost from Aberdeen in 1983. A regular man in the Aberdeen ranks and just on the fringe now of international honours. So Aberdeen were very anxious to get him back into the fray. So we're into time added on for stoppages now in this incredible first half at Pittodrie. So McKimmie appears to be all right. The game will restart with a throw. No, indeed, referee George Smith is indicating he wants to start with a dropped ball. So McLeod and Grant will have to let the ball hit the deck first. Turned out by McInally in the end, so it's an Aberdeen throw. Referee Smith checking his watch as half-time approaches. Celtic will be very happy to go in with this two-goal lead. And Aberdeen, of course, will have hard thinking to do. There goes the half-time whistle. Celtic with a two-goal lead and a huge debt owed to their goalkeeper, Pat Bonner. Bonner with a marvellous save early in the match and then a stupendous effort just on the half-time whistle. But goals from Alan McInally in the 14th minute and then the penalty kick from Brian McClear just before half-time leave the half-time score here at Pittodrie. Aberdeen 0, Celtic 2, and we'll be right back.
We are 2-0 to Celtic. The second half started back to Jock Brown and Billy McNeil.
Thanks, Ian. Yes, the second half is just underway now, and Aberdeen, of course, with everything to do in the second period, and they've made a substitution. They've brought on John Hewitt. He's wearing number 14, and he has replaced, it appears to be one of the midfield players has gone off. It's Brian Grant who's been replaced, so that means a reorganisation of the Aberdeen ranks, and clearly that's an adventurous policy they've taken on. Clearly there's no point in them sitting back now. They've got to get 2 goals to remain in the cup, and they hope that John Hewitt, the cup tie specialist, may help. Now there's a bad head clash though. That looks serious. Joe Miller is one of the players involved, and the Celtic player, is it Peter Grant? It looks as though it may be. So Grant is on the ground, so is Joe Miller, and that looks serious, particularly I think for the Aberdeen player. Grant appears to be a little bit better than the young Aberdeen striker. So let's hope that both players are fit to resume. So the incident which brought that about is coming up now. There we go, the ball breaking high in the air. Joe Miller going up and Peter Grant coming in with a head challenge and going straight into Joe Miller. So both players looking distinctly groggy. Peter Grant is on his feet. Joe Miller also has got to his feet, but Grant's clearly in a lot of pain. So there's the statistics for Peter Grant. Captain of Scottish Youth, of course, and a very important player for Celtic now. He's had the yellow card shown because the referee deems the challenge was a dangerous one. Joe Miller has recovered also, and he's in his usual position. back in the Aberdeen attack. Aiken up with Dodds once again. Here's Paul McStay hooking the ball forward. The only man up for Celtic is Mo Johnston. Good play from Willie Miller. Here's Robertson. Dodds trying to find Miller. And John Hewitt is offside. Well, Billy, it looks as though Aberdeen have committed 4 men up front, although Davy Dodds may drop back into midfield. But what do you think may be the result of that alteration at half-time?
Well, the thing is, they've no option but to go forward, Joe. They're 2 behind, they're out the cup at this particular moment, they've got to get themselves back into it. It would worry me a little bit because they're obviously going to surrender a little bit of midfield territory to Paul McStay, who's had a very good game and will obviously welcome the extra room.
There's good defending again by Willie Miller, reading that pass and cutting across. And Miller was caught very awkwardly by Murdo McLeod. Now that, for my money, was a complete accident, despite the howls of some of the Aberdeen fans, because Murdo McLeod appeared to lose his footing completely as he tried to stop after Miller played the ball away. And Willie Miller, to his great credit, is indicating to the referee that he too considered the thing to be an accident and no bad tackle, so a bit of sportsmanship and evidence. Appear to strike the arm of Roy Aiken. The referee allows play to go on. Miller goes up well with Johnston. Paul Wright's layoff. Here's Jim Bett. Miller taking on Rogan. Well, the young fullbacks had a good match so far for Celtic. Bett has found space inside. Lots of Aberdeen players in the box. One of them is Connor, another is Hewitt. For Joe Miller, and headed away by Rogan for the corner kick, and the Aberdeen players looking for a penalty kick for the challenge by Rogan. Well, they certainly went up above Joe Miller, coming from the wrong angle for a defender. Here was Hewitt. Now watch this delicate chip across the face of the goal. Joe Miller coming in on it, and Rogan appeared to head the ball cleanly behind for the corner. Hewitt plays it in. There's another chance to send the ball across goal. Danny McGrain blocks the cross. This time it's Roy Aiken. Everyone inside the Celtic half. Hewitt once again. Brought down by McGrain, and there will be a booking, I think, for Danny McGrain. Well, here was John Hewitt. Now you see him coming inside his man, good going onto his left foot, stepping inside. A rash late challenge from McGrain. Down goes Hewitt, and a yellow card for the veteran Celtic defender. Protest, I think, from McGrain that was his first foul of the match. 62 Scottish caps, and look at those club appearances, 647, and still going strong. So the free kick will be taken by Jim Bett. Cleach and Miller are both in the box. Up goes Willie Miller. The last touch was by Miller, and that's why McClair let the ball run. So a Celtic throw. And a bit of time wasting, I think, by Brian McClair. Certainly the Aberdeen players are not happy about that. Inviting referee Smith to check his watch. White's clearance. Kimmy and McInally together. It's remarkable that we haven't seen a great deal of Alan McInally, that superb opening goal apart, but here he is again. Now Willie Miller. Derek White recovers quickly. Clearance is picked up though by Jim Bett. Here's McKimmie. And Aiken has been in front of Dodds throughout the match this afternoon. Been the clear winner of their particular battle this afternoon so far, at least. Here's Joe Miller. Playing the ball across and winning the corner kick off Derek White. So Aberdeen certainly making a big push to get back into the match. The goal in this opening phase of the second half, of course, could transform the proceedings here at Pittodrie. There's Willie Miller. McGrain's underneath it. Bet going across. Here's Joe Miller. Using Bet as the decoy. Sliding it in. Ball right, beaten to the ball by Aiken. Now Bet. And Bonner comes to claim it once again for Celtic. Full of confidence, of course, after these saves in the first half. Two in particular, quite outstanding. There's Grant, lofting it forward. The spin will carry the ball out for an Aberdeen throw. The Celtic have withdrawn Brian McClare a little in the second half, just to settle on the lead. He's gone back to augment the midfield. Here's Joe Miller again. Now right. Screening the ball well, making good position. Fine play from the youngster. Here's Jim Betts. Well, he never appeared to have his balance completely to get a powerful shot on target. So a good enough start the second half, I think, Billy. From the Celtic point of view, at least, they're settling well in the lead.
Well, that's right. They're comfortable in the conditions, Jock. Aberdeen just look as though they're just a little touch of desperation about the play just now. I know it's difficult for them, but for them, they've got to continually try to keep the ball and make good passes that'll cause problems for the Celtic defence. But at the moment, they look as though they're just a touch of desperation about them.
So McLeish's clearance concedes the throw to Celtic on the near side, the Celtic right, and it's Peter Grant. Stay wasn't picked up by any midfield player for Aberdeen. They certainly have decided to live a little bit dangerously in that regard, bringing on John Hewitt for Brian Grant. Here's McClare, now Grant. Down goes Peter Grant as Willie Miller works the ball free for Aberdeen. Now it's Hewitt. Plenty of men forward again for Aberdeen. Robertson on the overlap. Lost some of the momentum of the attack, and he's fouled by Aiken. A rueful smile from the Celtic captain as the referee gives the free kick to Aberdeen. David Robertson showing his confidence in the ball, taking on Aiken on the outside. There's the free kick taken by Hewitt. Barney McLeod's header. This is McKimmie making for the byline. An awkward ball, it's bent out and back in play. So the goal kick has been given. So there's the main stand here at Pittodrie, behind Pat Bonner. It really is a superb setting for a match when the stadium is filled to capacity, as it is this afternoon. The sun has now disappeared as darkness approaches. 10 minutes now into the second half. Celtic leading by 2-0. Clearance from White. Miller being put under pressure by Johnston. And Johnston did well, forcing the hurried clearance from Willie Miller and keeping Celtic on the attack on the far side. Here's Bet for Aberdeen. Well, that picture tells the story. Joe Miller going flat out there as he tried to stop quickly. Now Barney McLeod. Ball got a deflection. That's why Leighton's scrambling so quickly across his line. It would have been a corner kick. Hewitt playing it forward. There's Roy Aiken. Willie Miller. A push by Grant on Connor. Peter Grant's already been booked, remember? A clash with Joe Miller, which resulted in both players needing some treatment. There's David Robertson. Now Hewitt. Good play from Hewitt. Used the hand going forward. The referee allows the advantage as Celtic get the ball away. And the loose ball is picked up in midfield by Martin McLeod. McStay's finding gaps now in the midfield for Celtic. Shot blocked by Miller. Grant leaves it to McLeod. Jim Bed is penalised for the challenge on Modern McLeod. So Celtic have the free kick. So Roy Aitken will take it. Jim Leighton crouched on the line. Aitken flighting it in. There's David Robertson. McLeod nodding it back into the box. Paul McStay's header to McInally. Here's McGrain. That's towards Johnston. Headed down by McKimmie, only as far as Grant. And once again, that was well read by Willie Miller. Free kick's been given to Aberdeen for the foul by Grant. But judgment here from Willie Miller is excellent. Just hanging back so that he could take the ball across the front of Peter Grant. The body check gives the free kick to Aberdeen. Roddy McLeod laid back off Joe Miller to collect the head flick. Here's McClare. Now McStay. Celtic playing it simply and sensibly. McStay running well from midfield. That pass was beyond him, swept away by Robertson. And Robertson is penalised for handball. Again, the upward bounce inducing that error from the fullback. So Celtic again have the chance to put pressure on the Aberdeen defence with the free kick. Taken short by McGrain. There's McClare! A brilliant touch again by Brian McClare on the near post run. And a sigh of relief from the Aberdeen fans. Well, just watch the way McClare comes across on this. As McGrain flights it in, McClare is there very quickly ahead of Willie Miller, deflecting the ball away and just beyond the far post. Well, McClare certainly a potent threat up front for Celtic.
Well, I think that gives you an idea of his potential threat, Joe, because he left the space in front of him, but when the ball got played into it, it was in there quick, got in on the wrong side of Willie Miller to put it past. But that's how he scores goals, because he puts himself into areas where he can.
Well, that undoubtedly would have settled the match for my money had a third been in for Celtic, but it's still in the balance as Aberdeen press to get back on terms. There's a bit of time wasting there, and the referee is making it clear that he noticed that and will add on the requisite time. Here's Paul Wright. Wide on the right is Joe Miller. This needs an accurate cross for Aberdeen. For the corner kick off Modern McLeod. Willie Miller arriving now to join Eric McLeish in the box. Well, that wasn't quite what Joe Miller intended, I'm sure. McKimmie and Johnston are together. McKimmie's very quick indeed. There's space now for McInally. He's onside, taking the pass from Paul McStay. Johnston wants it in the middle. Once again, it's that man, Willie Miller, who comes across to block the cross. Aberdeen undoubtedly were badly exposed at that point. So Miller has tidied up once again at the expense of a corner kick, which will be taken by Paul McStay. And it was Anton Rogan coming in at the far post. Didn't get high enough to direct the header downwards. It certainly found space inside the Aberdeen box. There we see the corner kick again. Now Rogan is all on his own here as he comes in to attack the ball. But over the top it goes. McClare. It's McInally. McStay going on his outside. And well policed back by Connor. And Tim Leighton slid over the goal line. And clearly he's very angry indeed about the decision, but you can see here his momentum appeared to carry him towards the line. And the linesman right there decides that the whole ball was over, and he's awarded the corner kick to the annoyance of Jim Leighton. Leighton would be well advised to be careful. He was booked in the first half, you may recall. Well, difficult to see from that angle, but the linesman in the perfect position. And it's left by everyone for Aberdeen until Joe Miller thumped it clear. McClair, Johnston. A glimpse of goal, and Johnston had a shot on target, but Jim Leighton was well positioned. The back keeler from McClair, Johnston turning for the shot, and there was Leighton. Saw some howls from the Aberdeen fans as a free kick is given to Celtic inside their own half. So Brian McClair, the key man up front for Celtic, as the free kick is taken by their captain, Roy Aiken. It was Johnston. McLeish wins it. Now Wright. A high challenge by White coming in late on Paul Wright. Free kick quickly taken. Here's Bet. Switching it to the right to Joe Miller. He's away from McClair. Celtic getting lots of players behind the ball now. Here's Alec McLeish. Now Robertson. Wants to take on McGrain. Well, it's been that sort of afternoon for the youngster. So full of promise. A superb career undoubtedly ahead of him, but the touch there wasn't fine enough, and a goal kick to Celtic.
I think some of those young lads of Aberdeen, Jock, are showing their inexperience now. They started the game very, very well, particularly Paul Wright up front and young Joe Miller. They started the game very, very well, but they've drifted out of it as Celtic got a grip on the game. And you saw young David Robertson just ran out of ideas there.
Here comes Celtic again, the form of Peter Grant. Committing the Aberdeen defence. Paul McStay setting it up for McClair. Back it goes to McStay. Space now for McInally. Well, he struck it crisply enough, but Leighton had his angles right. Well, look at the space McInally had here to set himself for the shot, but it was easy in the end for Leighton. So a further bit of reorganisation in the Aberdeen ranks as Joe Miller dropping into the right side of midfield. There he is now in possession, shrugging off Murdo McLeod. Sliding over the cross, there's David Odds. Connor goes back to retrieve. This is McKimmie. Charged down by McGrain. Neat play from Connor. McLeish. Joe Miller asks for it again, wide on the right. Coming inside McLeod. Looking for handball, but that's hopeful play from Miller rather than anything positive. Didn't play the whistle, and Celtic have possession. Johnston flighting it in. Good header by Robertson. Good play again from Joe Miller. He's away from Rogan. Inviting another challenge from Rogan, and the free kick has been given to Aberdeen. Anton Rogan showing his frustration about that decision. A very quick fullback, and he has to be, because Joe Miller has tremendous pace. Here's Miller again. All these moves going through Joe Miller for Aberdeen. Connor. Hewitt has space. We're waiting in the middle. There's Paul Wright. No luck at all for Aberdeen. A brilliant move. Paul Wright cannot believe it. As the ball was flighted across, he took it first time in the volley. Bono this time was well beaten, but the post saves Celtic. And still Aberdeen pile on the pressure. And that's another close one from Joe Miller. Trying one, dipping towards the far top corner. Oh, Joe Miller showing his determination, and that certainly wasn't far away.
No, Aberdeen can be excused for thinking this is definitely not their afternoon job, because those were two terrific efforts. The first one, a lovely ball in from the wide position, lovely strike, and he saw it come off the foot of the post. Young Paul Wright will be feeling very sorry for himself, I'm sure.
So So encouragement now coming from the Aberdeen fans. They've been heartened by the last few minutes. But still, the Celtic goal is intact. Pat Bonner hasn't been beaten. And these two first-half goals still give Celtic a massive advantage. Here's Paul Wright again, challenging fiercely with Derek White. It breaks for Hewitt. Good play from Hewitt to deep cross, and there's Murdo McLeod. Betts' header. Aberdeen looking to give the ball to Joe Miller at every opportunity. Losing out that time. Here's McInally, and Aberdeen will have to be very cautious about Celtic's danger on the break. Here's Paul McStay. McClure backing into Alec McLeish. The big centre-half reacts well. And that's a fine pass for Miller once again. Three men in the middle. One of them is Paul Wright. He appeared to be pushed, yes! The penalty kick is given. It was Danny McGrain who pushed him. McGrain looks incensed, but I'm sure the replay will prove this decision to be correct. The nudge by McGrain as Wright came in on the high ball. So Aberdeen now have the chance to get back into the match.
Joe, I'm not at all convinced it was a penalty kick, you know. I think there was a wee touch of the conditions taking part in it, and the referee's given a penalty. He probably thinks it is right to equalise it.
So it's Jim Bett who'll take the penalty. He's scored 2 out of 3 this season. So he hasn't got a perfect record. It's Bett against Bonner, who's very much the goalkeeper in form. So here comes Jim Bett. Beautifully struck by Bett. Aberdeen are right back in the match. And you can hear the celebrations now among the Aberdeen supporters. Very similar to the Brian McClare penalty kick, sending the goalkeeper the wrong way. So calmly put away in this cauldron of Pittodrie Stadium by Jim Bett. Calmly struck. So, a controversial moment. But there's the scoreline. Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2. David Robertson's clearance. Well now, what a finish we have to the match in prospect. 24 minutes into the second half as Aberdeen snatch a goal back. Here comes Jim Bett once again. Well, that's good play by Bett, and a fine recovery tackle by the young Celtic fullback Anton Rogan. Kept his head well. It looked as though Bett was beyond him. So every Celtic player except Mo Johnston back inside the box. Miller's corner. There's Alan McInally, one of the men back helping in defence. Johnston appeared to ease McKimmie off the ball, but the referee is indicating that play should continue. There's Robertson. Long ball upfield. Beyond David Odds. There's McGrain. Looked like handball by McStay. The angle wasn't good for referee George Smith. The free kick's been given. The Aberdeen fans in unison calling for that free kick. So Pat Bonner has been beaten at last. Connor's free kick touched on. Joe Miller elects to accept the corner kick. Well, the match looked for the early part of the second half to be comfortable for Celtic, but now suddenly everything has changed. Here's John Hewitt. Bett thumping it in. Now that could easily have taken a deflection as it went through that ruck of players. But happily for Pat Bonner it didn't, and Celtic have the goal kick and the chance to calm things down. McLeish with a header. There's Danny McGrain. Connor lofting it high. Underneath it is Murdo McLeod. Good push and play off, but it was picked up by McKimmie. McLeish to Connor. Determined running by Connor, and here's Paul Wright. Oh, good play from Wright. Now Dodds. His first touch wasn't good enough. The Aberdeen centre forward. Paul Wright is rolling at the edge of the box as Hewitt sends the ball across towards Joe Miller. Miller appeared to be held. The Aberdeen fans behind the goal looking for another penalty kick. This time, referee George Smith waves these hopeful appeals aside. Paul Wright is back on his feet as Connor picks it up again for Aberdeen. What a cup tie this is now. Spring in the step of the Aberdeen players now. They see the prospect of getting back on terms. Celtic having to draw on all their reserves of experience and courage to settle still on this lead and look for the third goal, which would truly clinch the tie. But here comes Stuart McKimmie. Now Dodds. There's Hewitt. This must be the equaliser. Yes. John Hewitt, the cup tie specialist, does it again for Aberdeen. Sheer bedlam now inside Pittodrie, and that undoubtedly was a disaster for the Celtic defence. The ball threading through, they left it to each other. McGrain and Aiken leaving it to Bonner. Hewitt nipped in, and Aberdeen are back on level terms.
You know, Jock, it's an amazing old game, this football. 5 minutes ago, Aberdeen were dead and buried, now they're right back in the game. If you look at this goal, I feel that Danny McGrain needlessly left it for the goalkeeper. I felt he should have stepped into it, get it away, and then there's no problem. But all credit to John Hewitt, he took his chance well.
There's the scoreline. Aberdeen 2, Celtic 2. Quarter of the match left. 16 minutes rather left. Quarter of an hour, 16 minutes left for play. Can either side now find the reserves of stamina and determination to snatch a winner? Here's Paul McStay. Back it goes to Leighton. Ian Porterfield now on urging his men out of the dugout. Well, the record, the undefeated record, which looked to be on its way out, is back on course once again. Here's Paul Wright. He's shown some marvellous touches up front for Aberdeen. There's another. And a fine, calm clearance by Roy Aiken. Miller. Here's Wright once again. And Roy Aiken in the right place, nodding it behind for the corner, and now urging on his defenders to settle down, keep their discipline and organisation. Miller back to Hewitt. Carrying the ball over for the goal kick. John Hewitt trying to hit the byline. Well, Billy, for my money, here's David Hay now with a very pensive look. The game seemed to be well under control. Now back in the melting pot, and I, for one, would be very sad to see either team lose.
Well, to be frank, I can imagine how Davey's feeling, because it looked as though Celtic were going to go further ahead, Jock, and now all of a sudden they're right in the melting pot. It looks as though Aberdeen have grabbed their chance, and they look as though they've put a lot of pressure on Celtic and might just get something still.
So a quarter of an hour left as Roy Aiken lofts it forward. Here's Alec McLeish. There's McGrain. Turning inside Connor. An offside flag must be up against John Hewitt. He was yards offside. The referee acknowledged that to the linesman on the far side, but allowed Roy Aiken to play it forward. So strain now in the face of Roy Aiken. There's the header on from Dodds, blocked by Rogan. Across goes Willie Miller with Bo Johnston. Robertson's header. Willie Miller again, a fine header, an accurate one to bet. Stepping away from Murdo McLeod, appeared to be pushed by the Celtic man, yes. A free kick has been given to Aberdeen. But a big debt owed again to Willie Miller for Aberdeen. There's his record of 52 caps. He's won 4 cup medals in the last 5 seasons. What a remarkable record. And it certainly didn't look as though a 5th was a possibility until the last 10 minutes or so. The tackle by Rogan. Here's McStay. Missed by McClear. Robertson sending it back. Roddy McLeod slipped as he controlled it. Derek White still looked sure-footed at the back for Celtic. Willie Miller again. Picked up by McStay. And Alec McLeish coming across calmly to turn it back to Leighton. Grant's header. The match has been a tribute to the qualities of both sides, Billy. They've given us some great football, all things considered.
I think it's been a tremendous job because players have had to adapt quite dramatically to this surface, and adapt they have, and they've provided us with great entertainment.
Now Celtic pushing forward themselves. Renowned, of course, for their resilience and courage in adversity, and it's been adversity in the last 15 minutes or so, but they're still in the cup with a fighting chance. There's a good ball across, and McClear couldn't reach it from McInally. Here's Paul McStay. McGrain lofts it forward. McClear lofting it the far side again, and the header cleared by McKimmie finds Joe Miller. Running out of space on the far side with the attentions of Murdo McLeod. Oh, a delightful flick by Mo Johnston, but McKimmie reacted quickly for Aberdeen. Here's Danny McGrain. Now Paul McStay. It's a great cross. Leighton scrambling. That was a fine ball from Paul McStay, especially in these conditions. Jim Leighton could easily have lost his footing completely. Look at this going across. Leighton very anxious indeed about it, and lost it in the end.
You know, Jock, just when we thought Celtic were down there and not going to be able to come back, they've started the ascendancy again, and they're getting it. That was a beautiful ball in there, begging for someone to go into that back post and put it away.
Very high bounce beats Derek White. Grant lofts it forward. Here's Willie Miller. So here's Robert Connor. One aspect of the second half performance from Aberdeen has been the improvement in the play of Robert Connor after the interval. Missed that glorious chance in the first half. There's Paul Wright battling hard but running into the solid rock in defence of Danny McGrain. There's Willie Miller. Dodds. That was intended for Bet, but it's collected by McStay. Now Murdo McLeod, a chance for a long-range effort perhaps. Just doing too much on the ball, running into McKimmie. Here's Alan McInally. The man who set the match alight in the first half with that glorious header for the opening goal. Joe Miller has been penalised. Frustrated young man once again. So 10 minutes left. Aberdeen 2, Celtic 2, and the match really could not be more finely balanced. Here's Roy Aitken now joining the attack. He hasn't had too many chances in the second half to do that. Murdo McLeod, headed away by McKimmie. There's Aitken. Fine effort by Aitken, almost caught out Jim Leighton at the near post. An awkward bouncing shot. Leighton beating it behind for the corner kick. Well, this could so easily have sneaked in at the near post. The header out by McKimmie. It's played short there on from the header by McLeod to Aitken. The hook shot, and there was Leighton. Leighton again, a sure pair of hands. Alec McLeish starting the move from a deep position for Aberdeen. John Hewitt taking up that position wide on the left. Stepping inside, McGrain. It's quite remarkable to think that Aberdeen started the match without their two top scorers, Billy Stark and John Hewitt, both on the bench. There's McLeish. David Odds with a header. Now McGrain. McKimmie. Rogan thumping it forward. Willie Miller's header. Rogan once again. Ball's a long time in the air this time. Willie Miller wins it. Joe Miller can't get to it. There's David Robertson with the pass back to Jim Leighton. Oh, John Hewitt's the man who's set the match alight with that equalising goal. He was something of a substitute expert, 28 appearances this season, and of course scored in the European Cup Winners' Cup final in Gothenburg. He also scored a couple of times in the cup final against Hearts last season. And now Aberdeen have a free kick. Too far out for a direct shot, I'm sure, although a three-man wall has been lined up. 8 minutes left for play. Bet leaves it to Paul Wright. Well, I spoke too soon. I thought it was much too far out for a direct shot, but didn't reckon with the shooting power of this young man. That ball rifled just beyond Bonner's left-hand post.
A really exciting young talent, Jock, isn't he? What a tremendous strike he had there. He's come back into the game, so he probably heard me criticising him early on there, and he's come right back into it and played very well again.
McLeish with a header. Here's David Odds. Now McKimmie. Head flick from Dodds. Here's Paul Wright. And since she's away from the winner. What an effort that was from the young striker. And a fine build-up once again, laid into his path. Anxious for the shot at goal. It was wide of the target. Bonner narrowing the angle.
Marvellous shot again there, Jock. He's certainly one for the future, this kid. Certainly he's one for the present at the moment, looking at his performance. It's been very, very exciting indeed.
So 17 appearances this season, just 19 years old, forcing his way into the Aberdeen ranks. Here's Jim Bett. A high ball for Miller. Derek White goes across. Teammates in the youth team so recently. A slip from White. Hooked away by Rogan, only as far as Bett. And Paul McStay did a good job there for Celtic, putting pressure on Bett, closing him down. Here's Wright again. Appears to be full of confidence and determination. Running at Danny McGrain. A well-timed tackle by McGrain. Getting in again in front of David Robertson. So what's this long throw from David Robertson? He really wasn't trying flat out on that occasion, I can assure you. He can make a throw in into a corner kick. Here's Paul McStay. Oh, a good dummy from Grant. Chances on now for Celtic. McClare and Johnston are up. And the ball breaking away there to Davy Dodds. Well, lucky to get a second chance at the clearance. Here comes Rogan. Dodds did well with an offside flag. So Aberdeen 2, Celtic 2, the closing minutes of the match, and it looks increasingly likely that there will be a second attempt with these two marvellous sides to sort things out at Celtic Park in midweek. Unless, of course, there's a bit of drama still to come. Here's Robert Connor. Now Miller. McKimmie goes on the outside. Good running by the fullback. There's Hewitt. Missed by Connor once again on the 6-yard line. That could so easily have been the winner for Aberdeen. With just 4 minutes left on the clock, there was Connor missing the ball across the face of the goal, driven there by Hewitt. So the cross by McKimmie, controlled back across the face of the goal by Hewitt, and Connor again out of luck in front of goal.
He'll be practicing that this week, I would think, Jockey. That's a couple of chances he missed. That was certainly a difficult one, but very definite chance nevertheless.
Good play from Peter Grant. Back it goes to McGrain. Willie Miller being told to get a move on. As Mo Johnston comes across to try to prevent the ball going for the goal kick. So Jim Leighton doesn't have to be in quite so much of a hurry as he was a short time ago. Now that Aberdeen are back in level terms, Aiken's header, McClair getting up well, led up by Robertson only as far as McLeod. Goes Alec McLeish. Difficult one for Joe Miller. Lofted by Murdo, McLeod, and it's gone behind the goal kick. So Ian Porterfield now a much relieved man. He obviously thought the Scottish Cup chance was gone early in the second half. And still the unbeaten record intact also. 2 minutes left as Celtic try to get forward once again. Home or away, Celtic can be depended upon to try to win matches. That comes off Alan McInally, and that means it's a goal kick to Aberdeen.
You know, Jock, it's been great entertainment we've had tonight. Marvellous game. It really would be a shame, and it is going to be a shame for either of these two teams going out the Scottish Cup. But what a spectacle, what a great game of football they provided for us in very difficult conditions.
Well, I must confess, selfishly, I have no objections at all to watching it all over again in midweek. The standard of the play has been remarkable, I think, in these conditions, and both sides still determined to take any chance they can, and that's just beyond Paul Wright from Anton Rogan. What a fine match this young man has had. So we're going into the final minute of the match, or the 90 minutes that is. There will be some time added on, I think. Here's Paul McStay for Celtic, and the neatest of tackles that was from Willie Miller. He remained very calm, kept his eye on the ball, and now it's Aberdeen on the break. Here's John Hewitt. Again, the first touch let him down. So here's McClair. Good ball into the path of McInally. Still Alan McInally forcing his way forward. Plays it against McLeish for the corner kick. Can Celtic conjure up a winning goal dramatically in the last minute? That's headed away by Miller in front of Johnston. Miller once again. What a powerhouse he's been in defence for Aberdeen. David Odd's back helping. Here's Brian McClair. Celtic putting on the pressure in the closing minutes. Here's McStay. McInally. Scrambled away by Aberdeen this time, and it's Aberdeen now suddenly looking a little bit hesitant in defence as Celtic pile on the pressure, and the free kick's been given. It'll be taken by Danny McGrain once John Hewitt backs off. There's Danny McGrain's free kick. Anton Rogan up with the attack. And now it's Jim Leighton keeping the ball in play as Rogan sprints back. And there goes the final whistle. No time added on. They'll have to meet again in midweek and try to sort it out all over again. A tremendous match. Celtic had the upper hand in the first half. A couple of goals from them there. And there was John Hewitt, the man who snatched the equalising goal late in the match after an error in the Celtic defence. 2 penalty kicks, one for Celtic scored by Brian McClair, one for Aberdeen scored by Jim Bett. Tremendously courageous second half performance by Aberdeen, and they'll meet again in midweek. It'll be Celtic against Aberdeen at Celtic Park, and what a match that promises to be. So there are the closing scenes here from Pittodrie, and with that we hand you back to Arthur Montford in Glasgow.
The commentators there at Pittodrie, of course, Jock Brown and Billy McNeil, direction by Graham McLeish of Grampian Television, and the stage set for that marvellous replay on Wednesday night, Parkhead, kick-off at 7:30. Right now, we're going to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be taking a look at those